Okay, this is lesson 1.4. So we're going to label this 1.4. Okay, factoring trinomials. If you notice on these, our trinomial, our a value, is going to be greater than 1. Okay, so our a value is not going to be 1, so we're not going to be able to just x factor and do the quick shortcut. If you do that, you're going to get the wrong answer. Okay, so they use a slip and slide method. We are not using slip and slide, although that sounds exciting. There are a lot of fractions with slip and slide, and I know how much you love fractions anyway. So we're just going to go the old school x factoring method that you've already actually learned. Okay, so when we are factoring, again, we're still trying to get our two parentheses for our two terms. We're still going to do the x factor thing. Okay, so when we x factor, when we set up our x, let's go ahead and set up our x like normal. In the past, we've just taken that c value, right? Whatever that c value was. Well, we actually multiplied a times c, but our a value was always 1, so it didn't change the number. So a times c, 2 times 3 is 6. That's the number that's going to go on the top. Okay, so we have to make sure we multiply 2 times 3. And then the bottom is still going to be 5 there. Okay, so now the process is still the same. What two numbers multiply to get 6 but add to get 5? 1 times 6 does not add to get 5. It adds to get 7. 5 times 1 does not multiply to get 6. Oh my goodness sakes. 3 times 2, folks. That adds to get 5 and multiplies to get 6. I know we're getting a little crazy with these numbers here. Thank you, Alyssa. You didn't say it loud enough. Okay, we're going to choose 2 and 3. Now we're going to go back because I cannot just put, watch what happens. Don't write this down. But if I just do x plus 2 and x plus 3, if I were to multiply these out, don't write this, just watch. I'm getting x squared plus 5x plus 6. Is that what we started with? Not at all. Okay? That's why taking the shortcut here does not work. Okay? We understand that? That's why that does not work. So instead, we're going to do the split the middle thing that we've done before. So the first term comes down. We're splitting that 5 between the two factors that we chose. We chose a 2 and a 3. Again, it doesn't matter which order, whether you put the 2 first or the 3 first, but we started the problem with a 2, so what's going to go better with the 2x squared? The 2, right? So I would put a positive 2x here. Then plus 3x, and then we bring the last term down. So again, see that this 2x plus 3x makes the 5x. Okay, that's why we split the middle. That's what that's called. Okay. What do I do now that I have 4 terms? You box them up, you group them, right? Just like we did in the very beginning of class today. Group the 2 of them. Make sure you include the sign in front of that 3x. It goes inside the parentheses. Okay, so go ahead and factor just like you have been doing. Think about what the first 2 have in common. We can divide out a 2x and a 2x. Where does that 2x go? Outside in the front. Leaves you with x plus 1. What are we going to pull out of that second group?
3.
Good. And where does that 3 go? On the outside. Make sure you put plus 3. Otherwise, you're not going to have a sign when it goes to combine. What does that leave you with? X plus 1, right? Okay, and our final step here. 2x plus 3. We grouped what we pulled out. Good. And then x plus 1. Finished. Questions on that one? Okay, let's do example 2. Same process. Remember, in order to get the multiply number, though, we have to do the first times the last, right? So 5 times 6 gives you 30 up top. And then we're going to do the negative 17 on the bottom. If you're having trouble with the factors, you're just going to do 30 divided by 1, 30 divided by 2, 30 divided by 3. There is no other way to do it if you are not strong with multiplication, and I'm not going to do it for you because I'm not going to do it for you on a test. You're just going to have to rely on your calculator. So you can do 1 and 30. Remember, both of them need to be what? They both have to be negative, right? Because if I'm going to add them to get a negative but multiply to get a positive, they both need to be negative. Well, when I add 1 and 30 together, I get 31, so that's not going to work. What about negative 2 and negative 15? What happens when I add them together? I get negative 17. Aha. Okay, so I found my factors. Remember, we bring the first one down always. We can split the middle term. What's going to go better with 5? 2 or 15? 15. That 15 is going to work better with a 5, right? So we'll write that one first. Negative 15m minus 2m plus 6. Okay, now we're ready to group the first two. Make sure you put the negative inside with the 2, please. What does the first group have in common, Lexi? 5? Is that it? 5m. So we're going to pull a 5m out, and we get m minus 3. Okay, and then in the second group, what are we going to pull out?
2.
Okay, if I pull out a 2, that leaves me with negative m plus 3. Do you guys see that my parentheses do not look the same? I have a negative m plus 3 and I have an m minus 3. Here's the rule. If the first term in the group is negative, you always pull the negative with it. Okay? So like the 5 was positive, so we pulled the positive 5. But our 2 is negative, so that means when I divide out, I need to divide out a negative 2. Which gives me a positive m, so I can erase that. A positive m minus 3. And now it looks the same, right? So what's going to be my final answer, Aspen?
In parentheses, 5m minus 2, m minus 3 in the second parentheses.
Perfect. M minus 3. Excellent. Any questions on example 2?
No.
Okay, why don't you try example 3 on your own? So we have negative 24 and negative 5. So again, if you're not sure with your multiplication, 24 divided by 1, 24 divided by 2, 24 divided by 3. There is no easier way. You have to do it this way. 24 divided by 4. And then which of these pairs makes negative 5? Which of those pairs makes negative 5? Natalie? Negative 8 and 3. Those are your two pairs you're going to use. I'm sorry, your two numbers. Okay? Yeah.
Where did you get the negative 24?
Oh, I messed this up. Hang on just a second. Where did I get the negative 24? Remember, we have to do the first times the last. Remember that? So we should be using a positive 3 and a negative 8. What do you mean the variable?
And the other ones.
So, like right here, where'd the m come from?
Yeah.
Because I'm splitting the middle term,
Alright.
which it has an m, so that's where it comes from. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So I should have 6y squared. What's going to go better with a 6? The 3. Okay. What can you pull out of the first group?
3y.
3y. Okay. And it goes out to the front. And then 6y squared divided by 3y gives you what? 2y. So in this one, you're still going to have a coefficient out front, and that's okay. So we have 2y plus 1. What about the second group? What can you pull out of this second group? Oh, Dalton is on a roll today. Thank you, Dalton, for helping your class out. We can't pull an 8 out because 4 cannot give up an 8. Okay, so we have to go with a negative 4, and we know that it's negative because the 8 is negative, which leaves me with 2y plus 1. Okay, now, if you did yours differently, if you put the negative 8y first and then the 3y, yours is going to look a little bit different until we get to the very end. And that's okay. It's okay to do it that way. Yours is just going to look a little bit different inside. You're going to have 3y minus 4 in each of your parentheses. And you're going to have the 2y and the 1 on the outside. Same thing. Doesn't matter to me which one you use. So my final answer is going to be 2y plus 1 times 3y minus 4. Any questions on that one? Okay. Wait.
Why is that 2y?
Okay. Because I did 6 divided by 3. Right here I did 6 divided by 3, and that gives you 2. Right? And then I did 8 divided by 4, and that gives you 2. Right? So then your final answer is going to be to write this one once. See how it's the same in parentheses? So we write that once. And then whatever I pulled out goes in the other parenthesis. Okay, try example 4 without me. Do it all the way. If you're watching the video, go ahead and pause and do number 4.